We're all familiar with what happened lately, but what is important now to be discussed is the US domestic reaction, the Congress, politics, and fallout. The Trump administration's raid on Maduro sits in a constitutional and political gray zone. Legally, the White House can argue Article 2 gives the president authority for limited urgent military operations, but capturing a sitting foreign head of a state stretches that definition to the breaking point. Congress was not notified, and the secrecy, while operationally justified, violates the spirit of constitutional checks. Now, what the Congress is saying: outrage from both parties. Critics accuse Secretary of Defense Pete Axel and Secretary of State Marco Rubio of misleading Congress about regime change intentions. The constitutional concern now: major military actions, they require authorization. This bypass sets a dangerous precedent. Now, here are risk warnings. Some members caution the US may be dragged into another endless war, undefined war with no exit strategy. Now, talking about the domestic political implications, Trump's base may fracture. His no more forever wars brand new clashes with boots on the ground threats and regime capture. Republican unity is strained. While many rally behind decisive action, dissenting voices in Congress and among America First conservatives will intensify. The public perception, it is divided. Some see it as a strong leadership, others view it as a reckless, unconstitutional, and hypocritical, especially given the double standard with Ukraine and Taiwan. Strategic danger at home. Now, the legal defensibility is arguable, not rock solid. Political legitimacy inside the US is contested. If the casualties occur or long-term occupation is implied, Trump faces historic political backlash. Now, the bottom line. Domestically, the raid is high risk, high controversy, likely sparking heated debates in the Congress, media, and the courts. The constitutional, ethical, and strategic questions will dominate U.S. discourse for weeks now. Now, coming to international reactions and geopolitical calculations. Firstly, Russia. Already overextended in Ukraine, bleeding men, money, and material. A direct confrontation with the US in the Western Hemisphere is strategic suicide. Decision: Moscow remains silent, calculating carefully, knowing Venezuela is not worth another front. The message: great powers fight where survival is existential. Venezuela is not existential for Russia. Now, talking about China. It does not operate on loyalty, ideology, or emotion, only strategic calculation. The red line is Taiwan, not Venezuela. Defending Venezuela militarily would give Washington moral cover to escalate in the Pacific precisely before China's own island problem. China already has leverage over Venezuela. Debt, oil access, influence, Maduro alive or gone does not change that. So what's the message? Timing, not loyalty, matters. Strategic patience beats rash action. Now, coming to France, UK, and Europe. France condemns the raid as a violation of international law and plans to raise it at the UN Security Council. Britain emphasizes fact-finding and consultation with Trump and allies. Now, let me give you the international takeaway. Global perception. The US now openly demonstrates that sovereignty is conditional and power determines legality. Smaller nations that are observing your value dictates your protection. Venezuela's fate is a warning. If you become expendable, you can be removed quietly, without warning, without international consequences. Alliances are insurance policies, not marriages. Russia, China, and other powers will weigh the cost versus gain before actually acting. Now, let's discuss strategic lessons and global implications. Firstly, hierarchy over loyalty. Smaller allies are bargaining chips. Support is loud until it becomes expensive. Venezuela's experience proves it. Secondly, credibility versus the outreach. The US shows power, but also risks global moral and strategic credibility, especially with financial strains predicted after 2029, which is around the corner. Thirdly, geopolitical dominoes. Russia gets free rein over Ukraine, India over Modi, China over Taiwan. The US's direct seizure sets a precedent for intervention anywhere, making smaller nations nervous. Now here's a lesson for Pakistan and other middle powers as well. Survival in a world of empires is about strategic worth, neither ideology nor loyalty. If a country becomes expendable, even treaties and norms cannot protect it. Now let me leave you with some brutal takeaways. Domestically, Trump risks political fragmentation and constitutional battles. Internationally, the raid sends a power message, not a moral one. Russia and China stay silent for survival. The US demonstrates that might makes law in practice, even while legitimacy erodes. Venezuela becomes the ultimate warning. If your strategic value drops, your protection vanishes quietly at night without debate. Well, all of you watching this 360 Digital English, think about it. Take care. It's your very own Priya Farooq signing off. Allah Hafiz.